Hey guys, what's up? MadSeason here, back with another tips and tricks video for you. This one is all about BFA since it just came out. A lot of you are level 120 by now, or just about there, so in this one, I'd like to share with you 20 tips to make your time in Kulturas or Zandalar easier. One of the first things you should do upon hitting 120 and unlocking world quests is to pick up a contract. These are made by inscribers, and if you have one active, you get a bonus 10 reputation for whatever faction you picked whenever you complete a world quest. You can pick any one of your factions in BFA, with the exception of your war one, which is the 7th Legion for the Alliance, and Honorbound for the Horde. If you're looking for a recommendation, I say go for the Champions of Azeroth, which is for both the Horde and Alliance. That's because, along with the Tortallans, they're the slowest reputation to level anyways. By the time you hit Exalted with the other four, you'll probably be around Revered with these two, and the Champions of Azeroth are super important, which leads me into my next tip. At the Friendly, Honored, and Revered levels with this faction, you can visit Magni Bronzebeard in Silithus, and he'll upgrade your Heart of Azeroth amulet by 15 eye levels, so that's 45 total, which is huge. This will be vital in increasing your eye level quickly, so make sure that you pay Magni a visit at each of these reputation levels and get the Champions of Azeroth contract to get there faster. Now, I know what you're about to say. Silithus? We gotta go all the way out there every time? Well, if you didn't know, you now have a portal that brings you right there. When you started the expansion, you should have been given a tour of your city, which is Borealis for the Alliance and Dazur Allure for the Horde. In here, you can find portals to your main cities and also Silithus. And conveniently, there's also a portal right back to your main city, so you can get back quickly. Speaking of traveling, one thing you'll want to do at the max level is to unlock all of your extra flight paths in the enemy faction zones. Through your war campaign, you set up these little footholds in enemy territory, but their coverage is pretty sparse. And with no flying, it can be rough to traverse them. However, if you level your PvP faction, which again is the 7th Legion for the Alliance and the Honorbound for the Horde, you can buy special items called Scouting Reports. When used, these unlock missions at your mission table, which when completed, you unlock additional flight paths in enemy territory. These are insanely helpful, and it should be one of the first things you do once you reach the max level and you get that reputation. There are 6 total that you can unlock. 2 at Honored, and 4 more at Revered. Additionally, after you complete them, you'll get more missions to unlock upgrades for them. Some are handy, such as this Krog mount, which zips you across the zone, or these NPCs that buff you if you walk near them. And others are not really too useful, such as free beer, at least in game. If you can't find the vendors, I'll have links in the description. I did mention this before, but something you may have come across in your time leveling in BFA is something called an Abyssal Fragment. It's a white item, nothing too special you're thinking, probably just part of a quest that you already completed, so you're clear to destroy it, right? Well, congratulations, because you just played yourself. These are actually part of a secret mount in BFA. If you collect 20 of them, you can combine them into an item that leads to a mount called the Nazjatar Blood Serpent, and if you do a quick check on the auction house, you'll find that you can sell them for tens of thousands of gold. They have a very low chance to drop from any old god-related mob in Kulturas or Zandalar, such as the Faceless or Naga, and some people get 1 or 2 on their journey from 110 to 120. So save them up, sell them. Whatever you do, don't destroy them. As I mentioned, traversing the new zones can be a pain since we don't have flying. Something that I think a lot of people don't know about is the coarse leather barding. Each expansion has these. This is the BFA one. It just makes it so you can't get dazed off of your mount. It lasts for 2 hours, which is pretty good, and 8 hours if you're a leather worker. So make sure you grab a few stacks of these for leveling or just world questing. Warfronts are one of the many new features coming up in BFA. They're not out yet, they only unlock on the 4th of September, but you can prepare for them now to earn some big Azerite, reputation, and therefore gear. Basically, the way they work is one faction is in control of the warfront, and the other faction has to gather supplies and do quests to mount a war effort to take control themselves. And as a reward, if you donate, you get a bunch of reputation and Azerite. The quests themselves ask for profession materials, gold, and ward resources. The gold quest is just 100 gold as of the latest beta build, and the profession ones vary. For jewel crafting, it's Deadly Soulstone or Versatile Kyanite, enchanting is Seal of Critical Strike or Seal of Versatility for rings, and so on. The golden profession ones are only doable once per day, but the one for the resources you can do multiple times. It's 100 resources per turn-in for 750 Azerite and 500 reputation with your PvP faction. So, you can prepare for this now by stocking up on ward resources to make sure that you have a big stockpile ready for when they unlock. You get them from treasures, rares, and most abundantly from world quests, so start hoarding them and don't spend them too frivolously. And speaking of reputation, since the expansion just launched, it's super important to level it up right now. If you don't know, each reputation has gear that they sell you, so make sure that you pay them a visit as you're leveling them. Each one has an eye level 320 blue cloak at Honored, a random 335 piece of gear at Revered, and a 350-ish piece at Exalted. A lot of people are just sticking to dungeons for gearing up right now, not knowing that these vendors have really good items available to them, so make sure that you take advantage of it. The next one is Alliance only, but it's pretty handy. In the Stormsong Valley, there's an NPC called Marie Davenport. If you complete all of her quests, you'll get a dialogue option where she says that she has a sweet tooth and is looking for some ice cream. If you hand in 20 of Tigul and Furor's strawberry ice cream, she'll give you 5 of her homemade cookies as a reward, and when you use these, you get a 30-minute buff that has a chance to proc 400 versatility for 15 seconds whenever you attack something. You can buy this ice cream pretty cheaply in Stormwind City right here from a vendor named Lisa McKeever. You can only make the trade once a day, so it is limited in that regard, but it's a really nice buff. They work in mythic dungeons, but I'm not sure about raids since we can't zone in Aldir yet. It really seems like there's no downside, which does seem suspicious. Nevertheless, pretty useful. For the next one, I mentioned this in my BFA leveling video, but it's something that I can't stress enough, and that's to pick up some goblin gliders. With no flying, these are essential to traversing the new zones, especially the mountainous ones like Zuldazar and Drustvar. They not only get you places faster, but they can also make for a quick escape if you're getting overwhelmed in war mode or whatever, and you're near a cliff or a flight of stairs. They're pretty cheap and well worth it, so pick some up the next time you're at an auction house. Like I mentioned earlier, reputation is super important, especially right now since the expansion just launched. You can squeeze out just a bit more by making sure that you level your professions up. Once you reach, I think, level 10 in Kulturan or Zandalar Skillups, you'll start getting special profession world quests. Either to just gather a vein or an herb, or turn in some crafted materials. The crafted ones are hit and miss, some are worth it and some aren't depending on your profession, but the gathering ones are a no-brainer. And don't forget about your cooking, since there are also world quests for that. Keep in mind that your contract also works for these. So it's not huge, but hey, it's better than nothing, right? And on the same note, if you're going for reputation, you should also really consider doing the pet battle world quests. They're actually really simple for BFA as long as you have a moderate selection. They give you a lot of rep, and even things like Azerite and ward resources. A lot of them are of the same type, like 3 beasts or 3 mechs, which makes them really easy to counter, so give them a try. Something you might be saying though is that you don't want to go to the trouble of leveling all of your pets to 25. Well, another tip is that you can do most of these world quests with level 1 pets. A lot of the pet battle world quests in BFA will scale to the level of your highest pet out of your 3. So you can just bust out 3 level 1 pets, which I'm sure you have plenty of at this point, and still knock them out pretty easily. They might actually be easier than 25 versus 25 since both yours and the enemy's pets will have just one ability. And sometimes that ability will have a long cooldown, so you can just wail on them for free, like the shark for example. So it's a good chance to snag some easy reputation, world quest rewards, and to also level all of your pets. Note though that this doesn't seem to work for the single boss pet battles, just the normal 3 pet ones. And speaking of pets, there exists a secret one just waiting for you to collect it. It's called Francois the Chicken, and you can find him right here at coordinates 5331 in the Tiergard Sound Zone, for both Horde and Alliance by the way. You have to have 1 million gold in your inventory. You don't buy it with 1 million gold, you just have to have that amount in your inventory to open a secret dialogue option. He's quite the fancy chicken, and will only accompany the richest of players. If you jingle your pockets, you receive the Faberge egg, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, which gives him to you as a companion. Since I was talking about world quests, one you'll see a lot are the Azerite ones from Magni. These are the ones where you gather Azerite by killing enemies or mining, or maybe you heal a few wounds with your amulet. In every single one of these areas, you'll find these pools of Azerite. Make sure that you always dip in these because you get a real nice buff that increases your health and damage by 10%, and also a ticking heal for 1 minute. It makes these quests a piece of cake, and if you're in war mode, you'll want that edge because these are usually PvP hotspots. I mentioned this a couple times recently, but another tip to make the world quests easier is to grab yourself a world questing add-on. They're not as good as they were in Legion since Blizzard removed a lot of the automation, but there still are a couple that work pretty nicely. One is World Quests List, which is pretty simple. You get prompted to enter the quest ID in a little window upon zoning into the area, and if there's a group, you can click to auto-join, else you can make one yourself that auto-invites other people. This one is more widely used than the next one, which is World Quest Party. This one is more automated, just giving you a button to search for, join, or create groups. Finding the groups is more rare though, since this add-on works locally on your realm and connected realms, as opposed to using the group finder. So, if you want more consistency but less automation, go for World Quests List. And if you want less consistency but more automation, go for World Quest Party. I'll have a link to both in the description. Something for all of you gatherers out there are the glove enchants. They do this for every expansion, but just in case you didn't know, you can get some enchants to your gloves that increase your herbing, mining, or skinning speed. It's pretty handy, to say the least. Something you should do, not just for BFA, but for any expansion really, is to log in and out with every character you have to start generating rested XP. Whether it's a bug or intentional, whenever a new expansion launches, the game doesn't know that there's a new level cap until you actually log in, so if you plan on leveling any alts, log them in and out really quickly to start building that up so you can start with a nice boost. Something that a lot of people don't know about yet, I think, is that your followers can use equipment in BFA. It's not as obvious because there aren't any work orders like they had in Legion. This time, it's all crafted by various professions. They vary quite a bit depending on the profession. Inscribers can make the Crimson Inkwell, which gives your followers a chance to bring back some inks on successful missions only. There's a similar one for alchemy, which brings back herbs. A blacksmith made one for ore, and so on. Some of these are bind on pickup, so only people with that profession can make them, and some aren't, and you can buy them or sell them on the auction house. So check them out, either craft them yourself, or take a look on the auction house. Next is, for anyone who uses a smartphone, you might want to check out the companion app for World of Warcraft. This was very helpful in Legion, and it's made a comeback for BFA. Basically, what it does, for those of you who never used it, is it lets you do all of your table-related stuff. That is, recruiting those expendable troops, starting and completing missions, doing your research tree, checking what world quests are up, what they give, and when they expire. And there's also some features to be added, such as the ability to chat with your guildmates and friends, I think. And lastly, as a bonus tip, next up we have the secret speed scroll for BFA. Hidden in the water at coordinates 5445 in Tiragard, you can find a secret pub called the Whale's Belly, complete with alcohol, dancers, and all sorts of stuff. There's also a vendor here called Professor Augustine, who sells you a scroll of Torga Swiftness in stacks of 5, which when used gives you the swiftness of Torga. You can buy as many as you want, it lasts for 30 seconds, and it's very noticeable for sure. Definitely pick some up if you want to move as fast as a Torga. That's about it though. I hope you found these tips helpful, and if I come up with more, I'll be sure to make a follow-up to this, so keep an eye out for that video if you enjoyed this one. Like it if you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Farewell for now, mortals. We hope you enjoyed today's video. See you again soon.